Wow, we learned so much, and now it's time to learn how we can actually do some queries on our data. And this topic will be divided in two parts. The first part, we're going to check what is an eager loading, how we can get some objects out of the database, how we can take everything with all, and we're going to check what is a filter, how we can filter the results, and how we can group together those results. Well, Vapor provides a robust query API that enables us, developers, to interact with the database using the Swift type safe constructs. This API supports various operations, including eager loading, retrieving all records, filtering results, and grouping data. First one is eager loading, and it's a technique used to preload related data when fetching primary records from the database. By doing so, it reduces the number of separate queries needed to retrieve associated data. Thereby, it improves your performance and ensures that the related entities are readily available for immediate use. You have that with method, and it will create a query builder for you. To get one object, you can use get, and you have this this function, this method to retrieve the data safely. If nothing is found, you'll receive nil. If you want to retrieve everything, all records, then you have this method called all, and is used to fetch all records of a particular model from the database. It returns an array containing everything, all instances of that specified model. This is particularly useful when you need to retrieve complete data sets and you don't need to apply any kind of filters to that result. So you want everything out of the database. And you usually have a variable, let's say all results, and you use the name model.query, specify the database on database.all. You see, it's very Swifty, very natural in Swift. Additionally, Fluent allows specific fields to be fetched from all records. If you want to have the names of a person, you'd use the key path name, and you'd receive those names, the person's name. You can also apply filters to the results, and this thing is essential when you need to retrieve a subset of records. You don't need everything, but you need to specify a criteria to fetch your objects. There are several ways to apply those filters. You have a thing called value filter, where you compare a field to a specific value using operators such as equal, greater than, less than, and so on. And you have in the same manner, you use the name of the model, the type of the model. You apply the query method on the database and then say dot filter, and inside the brackets, inside the parentheses, you specify what kind of filter you want. Besides the value filter, you also have a field filter, where you compare the values of two fields within the same model. You could specify in our example with planets, if the diameter of a planet is greater than the mass, and you'd probably apply a filter to the planets that have this property. Finally, you can use also a subset filter, where you filter records where a field's value is within a specified collection. So a range, you'd want a range, an array of ranges to filter out your results. You can also use contain. We also have contains, like a filter that contains something. It will give us the records where a field's value contains a specified substring, for example. And groups, when you have like complex queries that require multiple filtering, conditions combined with logical operators and/or and so on, you have this thing called group, and you combine multiple filters with it. It's like using a parenthesis to dictate the order of operations to SQL in the where clauses. I'm going to check how to achieve this. Don't worry. All right, let's demo. About the eager loading, we already implemented some kind of a eager loading inside this person's controller. And this eager loading is actually signifying that Fluent is preloading a model's relations when it's fetched. And this is called eager loading in terms of Vapor and allows you to access those kind of objects in a synchronous way without you needing to call get first. And we did that a bunch of times. We can do it with this with. You see here, when we fetch the languages for a person, we pass the key path to the language object. And this is named like essentially eager loading. Look at the passport, for example, here. We call get on request and we iterate it for person in person. And for each person, then we would have passport, get on request, compute that. But this can be omitted. We can directly return the array of persons without doing this for loop. It can actually be one liner here. We can say try await person dot query request.db with deleted if we want. Okay, yeah, we can say with, combine another with, and here inside the with we can say dot passport, and we can say all, of course, and it will bring us everything here. And we can say map person in, and here we can say try person response content 0 dot person, which is 0, and here is 0 dot passport. You can say person and here person dot passport, and this should work perfectly fine. Let's try it out. I think Postman, and let's create a person. John, date. We can say passport, and here we can pass the number of the passport with a string. And you see, like it created the person, the passport, and now if I'm doing a get to the persons, then it will bring me the passport as well in the response, which is an array of persons. So it's working fine. And yeah, it looks much better. We're having it looks, and it's also readable. Like with that for loop, it might be not that good, but it's up to you how you want to do it. Eager loading or without eager loading. For get part, we already use it here. We have get on request.db. You see here in a bunch of braces. But we also can reload. We can call here reload on, and it will do a fetch request. Not sure if we used it before. We use it here. When we updated the person, we wanted to retrieve the updated passport for that person. Here we fetch the passports from the database again without like looking into the cache. It like performed a fetch request for us here with this reload parameter. We also had all here, like it fetches all results, but you can also pass something like this to the all function. Like if you want to retrieve just a specific field from the database, you can do that through a parameter there. You can fetch by a single field and it will return as a result set. And we can try this ourselves. Let's create here a function in the person's controller private func get all names request, and here I can say async throws, and I want to have a strings array of all names of the persons, and here I can say person query on request.db all, and put the name key path, the field property, and it will know how to fetch this. Let's create here get all names, and we need to pass it here in the route. We can say persons. Let's actually put it here. Persons.get name request in, and do try away get all names from the request. Okay, I want to check it. It should build me a strings array with all persons name. All right, and if I do get persons name, you see I have an array of persons name. Now you can use it like this all part. And moving to filter, I mean, we saw filter in action a bunch of times. We saw it here and here with the code, where like we fetch the person languages and we pass the filter function right here, and then we pass the methods for us. And there are like multiple ways to filter. You have the value filter, one that we use, like we can say like a value is equal to a something value. The ID of the person is equal with the other value. The field filter, like if you have like two names or two properties that you want to check, you can say this person is equal with the other person. So also subset filters, and here you'll have two variables if the value is in set or the value is not in set, right? And like you have multiple operators, they are shared inside the Vapor Code's documentation, and you can take a look there. Let's imagine a scenario for us where I need to fetch the persons by name, and I would like to have some kind of a grouping for that result, for aggregation of the results. Let's create a function here, private func get persons by name, request, sync throws, and here I would like to return the persons. And let's imagine we are searching through a query parameter called name, and we take that as an input, and with that we query the database of persons, we fetch everything and take it and return it. Let's check if we have the name parameter, and we do request.query. We need to look for a string, and this is at name. This is the name of the parameter. As throw abort that request name is required. All right, reason name is required. We have the name. Then what do we need to do? We need to do person query on request.database, and let's do a group. I would like to group by or, but I can also do and or a custom group there. And I also can compose multiple groups. And we can say group in. And here I want to apply a filter and say group filter name. This is like starts with name if it matches the prefix. So if it starts with name, or we can say also filter name can end with this name as a suffix. And for the sake of the examples, we can also use like if it contains this substring, it's like this. This like contains this word as a suffix. Okay, let's return also the passport. We can do, if you remember, with passport like this with loading all. And now let's map. And we can say try person response. Response content 0, because this is a person, and 0.passport, and we're done. We have the get person by name, and let's return it here. We can imagine we have a search API request in, try await get persons by name, and we can pass the request. And now we can try it. All right, let's create a couple of persons here. So post John, Janet. And if I'm using search here, get, and I can pass name, right? If I'm putting Jan, it will give me Janet here. And also I can do like suffix at, and it like return me the last. It will compare the last letters and it will map to the response. All right, cool. Thank you for watching. See you next time.